I'm Joshua Matias. I'm a contract wildlife technician for Inland Fisheries and Wildlife. We're out here radio collaring, GPS collaring whitetail deer for a comprehensive study we have across the state. This is our most northern study area. It's an attempt to figure out mortality and migration on whitetail deer across the state.
My name is Max Petrashun, and I am a block planner for Irving Woodlands in Maine. I love what I do as a block planner, but it's really rewarding and it's a bonus to work with IF&W and the biologists doing this deer study. I was the initial boots on the ground for reconnaissance, and I was involved for 2 weeks for pre-baiting the trap sites.
There's a science behind it. You kind of have to understand the animal pretty intimately to be able to coax it into a trap or a net, and then we'll subsequently ear tag, collar, release, and then monitor the deer across the range and across the different seasons as they migrate from summer to winter.
Deer are a well-studied animal. There's been lots of research on deer. So we think we know a lot about deer, and we have management guidelines that we put in place to protect deer winter habitat. However, we're finding that a lot of this habitat's not being used. And so why is that? Are we not understanding something about what the deer need? And by having deer collared, they can tell us what they're using and what's important to them, so we can let them make the decisions as to what is the good quality habitat, rather than relying on reading published literature or management guidelines and trying to understand what we think they need. So we can let the deer tell us what they need.
It's all about providing information that's needed. We have technology these days that is so detailed, it allows us to examine the habitat in great detail. We have satellites with telemetry tracking the movements of deer in near real time, which is allowing us to really understand what the habitat preferences of the deer are, as well as locations.
My name's Elias Airy. I'm a PhD student here at the University of Maine. And what I'm doing is I'm working with an aerial imaging technique we call LiDAR. And what LiDAR does is it essentially creates a three-dimensional model of the world. We fly over in an airplane, and an airplane shoots out a laser, and the laser is actually able to measure the three-dimensional attributes of the forest. What we've got here on the screen is an image here of LiDAR. You can see the three-dimensional aspect to it. The colored areas in teal and in pink represent areas that we think we're going to find deer in based on the inventories that we've created from the LiDAR. So we can say, you know, there's this many trees in this area, there's this type of tree in this area, and we can correlate that back to where we think deer are going to be.
It's always interesting when you're starting a research project because you really never quite know where it's going to lead. I think with the team that we have here in the Northeast Deer Research Partnership, that there is great potential for really getting a lot of good information on deer.
This project has really ballooned in the over the last couple of years. Initially, it was just the state of Maine, Inland Fisheries and Wildlife working to reassess the relationship between winter weather and deer. But now it's a much larger project where we're now working with the University of Maine, University of New Brunswick, JDI, to better understand how deer utilize the landscape and how that landscape or their environment influences deer survival in northeastern North America. It's boots on the ground information that we're collecting here in the Northeast that we can apply to the management of our own animals. You know, it's real-time data, and the technology is allowing us to do this.
The data collection that will be associated with these studies and the reports that result from that will really help inform you know, our understanding of deer and deer use of habitat, deer survival through the winter, and help inform our management decisions moving forward, and how we communicate and what we communicate to landowners is most beneficial for deer in northern Maine.
I'm not aware of anything being done like this in research, having so many different universities and government agencies involved on deer research, and I'm just so excited it's happening based right out of New Brunswick. So that's really surprising to us and very pleasing.
We're confident with this large-scale project over a large region, we'll be able to capture many of the issues. We'll have a better feel for what's causing population change at those scales, and hopefully inform management and what options they have if they want to change things or alter practices. We have interest from many groups, and so there's lots of eyes on this, which is great. And there's a need to get this work published. So we have several grad students working on this at University of New Brunswick, and there's university students at other places. So hopefully as a group we will be able to put together a very large, comprehensive product that can explain deer populations in the Northeast.
Everybody can make guesses about what would be the most important factor from their own experience, but until we actually have locations of deer and we can see what kind of habitat they're using, where they're moving, what kinds of snow conditions are affecting where they go to, and to what extent they're responding to predator densities, we won't really know what the answer is. So we really need to have this location data and the good ground cover data and as much information as we can get on things like snow depth and predator densities in order to really tease out the relative importance of all these factors to whitetail deer demographics.
This project is important to me because being a forester for JDI, I'm responsible for managing deer habitat on the landscape. Data and information gathered through this study will be used by myself and other foresters to promote and maintain quality whitetail deer habitat